Good evening, folks. Welcome back to another Monday night live stream. Hope everybody's well. Hope you had a fab weekend, and I hope you're all having a lovely start to the week. Nice to see a nice little gang in tonight as well, nice and early. Always nice to see some friendly faces. Always nice to see some new names as well. If this is your first time in the chat, if it's your first time in the stream, or maybe you've never chatted before, please do give me a little wave. Please say hello, introduce yourself. Always nice to see some new folks coming in, along with the regulars as well. Tonight's chat, we're going to be showing off obviously all of the June painting challenge submissions. I think we've had about 20 this month, which is a nice amount. Some good stuff, and we'll also be talking about the possibility of Mantic's The Walking Dead miniatures game making a return. Now, there's a bit of background information to this. This is not just me kind of sort of theorizing or maybe hoping for this to happen. We'll come on to why, and then I want to know what your thoughts on it, about whether it should come back, whether it kind of like, you know, it's been gone too long kind of thing, it's done and dusted, you've got everything you need, or what's your thoughts on it anyway. But we'll get to that when we start chatting about with that kind of stuff. Anyway, let's see who we've got in the chat tonight, and we'll see a few friendly faces. Major Tom was in like lunchtime, 12:15. Just the what's that? About 8 hours 45 minutes ago. Nice to see you, mate. If you're still around. Super Pumpkin Man was in earlier as well, saying good morning. Blair, nice to see you as well, buddy. Saying all good. Hey, all good to actually catch one live. Yeah, nice to see you, mate. Clyde Dashin, good evening to you as well, mate. Blizzaz, Olos to you. John Shepherd, good evening as well. We've got Gav in, good evening. Thumbnails is in as well. I'm forgetting it's 4th of July tomorrow, isn't it? Well, it looks like the US holiday has given Thumbnails a little bit of time off there. We've got, is it Mikhail in as well? Good evening, Mikhail. We've got Type 40 TARDIS, good evening to you as well. We have Jez Hunt, hello fella, how you doing? We've got who else? VJ, good morning to you, mate. How you doing, fella? We've got Annie there as well from Bad Squiddo Games. I was lurking in the background, Annie, on your live stream. I must admit I had it on in the background while I was setting a few things up. And I don't always like to kind of like sort of put my head above the parapet in other people's chat and stuff like that. But I did hear your very nice comments about the video and stuff like that. So thank you very much. I do appreciate it. But yeah, I didn't want to come and start typing into the chat and stuff like that. I noticed there was a few of my regulars were in there. Clyde was in there, and I saw Jez was in there as well. So nice to see some familiar faces as well. Who else have we got in the chat here as well? I'm scrolling down. Colin Mack, good evening to you, mate. How you doing? We've got J-Bot. We've got Paul Ridgen. Good evening to you two fellas. We've got Mark Cox here as well. Hello, mate. How you doing? Big Dave, good evening to you as well. How's things, mate? Hope you're doing well. We've got Haxan in as well. So he's having a few days break from printing. I tell you what, mate, sometimes a few days break is just what everyone needs. Thumbnails is saying that Annie, the Kickstarter looks like it's going well. I support it too. Don't forget, folks, I think we're probably down, if I remember right from our interview, Thursday around, was it between 3 and 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon is the end of it. So if you haven't checked it out, please go and check it out. We'll do it. We'll give it a last little plug as well later on when the numbers start to climb a little bit. We'll give it a little plug as well later on. Mark Burton, good evening to you, mate. How you doing? Thanks for the wave. Zingbo saying hello. He's got some Stormcast on his desk tonight. He's painting millions of layers of orange paint in an attempt to get some solid coverage. Well, there you go, mate. That's going to be... it sounds like you've got your work cut up for you tonight. We've got Samir in as well. Good evening, Samir. Nice to see you in as well. I got your late entry for the painting challenge as well, so thank you very much for that. Wayne saying, hello, all Walking Dead. Tell me more, please. Yes. So we will be getting to that one. Super Pumpkin Man, he says, hope you got my email. I did, mate. Thank you very much. Matt saying good evening as well. Hopes everyone's doing well. We've got Skullduggery in. He's painting some ray gun raptors for a Space Station Zero crew today and practicing his non-metallic metal game. It's not something I've ever really tried before, to be honest. I think I'm probably a bit too lazy for that, or impatient is probably the more polite way of doing it. And he chanting, Walking Dead, Walking Dead. Yes, Walking Dead is a fantastic game. It was one of my, and still is, I guess, one of my most favourite miniatures games, which is why I'm kind of, why I want to talk about it tonight. Let's have a look. Jez is saying cheeky mantic scoop. Yeah, I think some people kind of think it's wishful thinking, but I will tell you why it's not just wishful thinking. Super Pumpkin Man saying, be kind and do not forget to drop a like. Thank you very much for that as well. If anybody, while we're doing a little bit of self-promotion and stuff like that as well, if anybody would like to support me on Patreon, now is a fantastic time. Start of the month. You pays your money as little as $2 a month to get you access to the private Discord group. $2 a month. There's obviously higher tiers as well for other benefits. But yeah, start of the month's always a good time to start. You pay your money, you get your full month of access and everything. And yeah, never a bad time to plug Patreon, is it? Who else have we got down here? As I'm scrolling down, we got is it Suli's Emporium? Good evening to you. How you doing? We've got Dan the Grey Knight. Good evening to you as well. Ed's working on the last 2 Immortals to finish. Is it Hero Tech? Who says you never go back to old projects? You're right there, mate. Sometimes we do go back to old projects. John said, I've never played the Walking Dead game or had any of the stuff. You've missed out, my friend. You definitely missed out. Matt says he didn't catch the Walking Dead first time around, heard good things about it. Yeah, I honestly, I would definitely say it. Whenever it was available to purchase, it was always in my top 5 lists for best miniatures games for new players or kind of people new to the hobby for a multitude of reasons, and we'll get into the details later on. Samia's saying, you mean fireworks of July in the States, or here in California, expedited wildfires of July. I've never been in America for the 4th of July, so I'm not really sure what the celebrations are like. I wouldn't even say the closest I've been in Las Vegas for Cinco de Mayo, so for the 5th of May, and there were some nice little parties going on for that, but then it was Las Vegas, so I'm guessing parties go on quite a lot of the time. So yeah, maybe that's not my measure. Colin saying he's good. That's good to hear, mate. Miniature Adventures, good evening to you, mate. Deep Red, hail and well met to you as well. VG is saying he's really disappointed that GW have decided to make the Epic re-release 30k, but without Xenos, I'll be giving it a hard pass. Epic is not something that's ever really interested us. It was before my time. I don't have any nostalgia link to it. And to be honest, I know very little information other than I've seen people complaining that it's linked to Horus Heresy and not to full-scale 40k. But I don't know anything else about it, I'll be honest. Let's have a little look. Samir saying, you're a hobby hero. Thank you for accepting the last-minute challenge submission. You're very welcome, mate. I've learned now to upload all of the photographs a bit later, that way I don't have to keep going back and checking them. Tizzy Brain Drain saying he submitted his entry late as well, but hopefully he got it. Yeah, as long as he didn't come in the last 5 minutes, mate, I've probably got it. Tiny War Games, hello mate, how you doing? Long time no speak. Hope you're doing well. Colin Wakeland, good evening to you as well. Jez says he popped into Midland Miniatures today. It's a great wee gaming shop in heaven. The minis are great. Bought some creepy beekeepers. You know what, mate? I used to play card games at Midland Miniatures, but I must admit I'm not that familiar with their. I know they make some miniatures as well, but I'm not familiar with their miniature range, to be fair. Annie's saying, I love the Walking Dead game, have pretty much all of the stuff, easy to pick up, lots of replayability, the best combo, and there's the bigger version we haven't tried yet. Yeah, to be honest, I never really tried the bigger version either. I was part of the group of people that play tested it, so I was involved with the play testing for the game. But I always felt I quite liked the smaller scale version, the more intimate version of All Out War. Over Call to Arms, which was the bigger version. So I never really played the bigger version either. Cleo, good evening, mate. He said I'm out actually moving around, but will listen in as I exercise. I tell you what, mate, that's the way to do it. Joel Anderson, good evening to you as well. He's saying he's agreeing with VJ, no interest in GW games, but the return of Epic made me nostalgic. It's one of the things that I always I struggle with a little bit when it comes to GW stuff, because I don't have any nostalgia for it. I didn't really I kind of got into miniature gaming through like 40k, but I never really played it. I just collected some minis and painted them and then moved on to other things. But I don't have any nostalgia for things like Blood Bowl, for things like Necromunda, for things like Mordheim, for Epic, like for any of those games, because I never played them. I wasn't in the hobby at that time, and they'd pretty much all disappeared before I ever really kind of got into stuff. And as I got into the hobby, I was into Malaphone, I was into War Machine, and I was into Walking Dead, and I was into Kings of War, and I was into all those kind of things. And so, like, I don't have nostalgia for Games Workshop stuff. So I do appreciate that they trade a lot on nostalgia when it comes to selling kind of older licenses and older games. I mean, bringing back Blood Bowl, bringing back Necromunda, they were all kind of trading on that kind of thing. But yeah, for me, it's just kind of goes over my head a bit. Let's have a little look here. Have a little look. Super Punky Man says, "I'm sorry, I am just done with the Walking Dead TV series. Just stop keeping the show as undead as the zombies." This is, to be fair, the TV series was finished quite a long time ago, and the comic books were finished as well. The miniatures game I'm talking about, if you're not familiar with it, was based on the comic books as well. It wasn't based on a TV show, which for me was the stronger license, to be fair. But there's some I think there's some quite interesting spin-off TV shows now as well. I think there's a new one just started recently, which I believe is meant to be pretty good. But yeah, I read all of the comic books, and I was a big fan of those. The TV show, I don't think I ended up watching it all, if I'm being perfectly honest. Miniature Adventure says, as a British guy living in the US, if I forget the kick in the British out part, I really enjoy the celebrations. There is that, mate, as well, isn't there? Thumbnails are saying, working on my 5th Majestic 13 team member right now. Maybe finish it during this hangout. That would be cool. Did you receive my June entry? Sent it, but unsure if it went. Do you know what, Thumbnails? As I don't know what your name is outside of Thumbnails, unless your email address is Thumbnails, I didn't see it. But if your name's something else, I might have it. Yeah, Tasty Brain Drain saying, missed the Walking Dead first time around, even though I was interested in it. So I'm glad that it might be returning. Samir saying, the original Epic was amazing. This new one just doesn't have me very excited. I have a feeling the pricing is going to be crazy. Yeah, I've got no idea. Like I say, I couldn't tell you what's new or what's different, or if the scale's the same or any of that kind of stuff. I don't know anything about it. Mutton Chop saying, even all finally broke the 100 minis this year. Now painting a red slate for D&D. I tell you what, mate, 100 minis is not bad going. I don't think I do 100 minis in a year. I'm not even sure I've done 10 minis this year, if I'm being honest. This has been a year of not very much painting, if I'm being honest. Annie saying, I didn't know Midlam had a bricks and mortar. Yeah, it's not too far from me, Annie. It's more of a so I think Midlam Miniatures is the name of the company that sells the minis, and Midlam Games is their storefront, and it pretty much is like it's more of a board game store, if I'm honest. The miniature stuff they sell tends to be a lot of like Fantasy Flight, Atomic Mass games, like Asmodee type stuff. They sell like paints and things like that as well. But it's a lovely little store, just to kind of as a like a board game store. I used to play Star Wars Destiny, the card game there, and yeah, it was a nice. It's a cool little store. Not particularly very big. Not a lot of tables, but the guys that run it are nice guys. Mini Adventure saying the prison set for the Walking Dead was great terrain. It definitely was. Yeah, I've got loads of Walking Dead terrain. Me and my brother-in-law Jason used to love kind of setting up tables and playing that. Intimate zombies. I like that. Let's have a little look down here. Blair saying, missed Walking Dead first time. Hope it'll coming back, and encouraged by the email received from Mantic in the email subscription. Yeah. Vijay saying you can get the original Epic rules downloaded and free STLs of more stuff. So I may play that if other projects ever complete. There is that, to be fair, as well. Luis is saying, I really enjoyed Mordheim. I think a lot of people did, mate. I just never played it. I don't really know anything about it, if I'm perfectly honest. Zingbo was saying first edition Space Marine was my first war game, so I'm watching the new epic with some interest. Do you know what it is? I am by no means a hater of Games Workshop. I'm not anti Games Workshop. I don't kind of actively hate what they do. I don't hate them as a company. I don't hate the people that work there, that kind of thing. But I will be honest, it frustrates me that whenever Games Workshop mentions something, it becomes the thing that people talk about. Like, there's been loads of cool things have been talked about recently. Look no further than the backgrounds book that Annie's been working on. I think is something that is an absolute no-brainer. When you see it for the first time, it's like, why doesn't this thing already exist? Like, that's the kind of thing that needs a bit more attention. Weird Games are just doing an update for 3rd edition, where they're updating some of the stats from some of the miniatures. They're kind of like doing like a bit of a point overhaul and a few tweaks and things like that. And the communication that they've done behind that has been fantastic. That's the way you update your game and tell the community why you've made certain choices, why some miniatures are in the updates, why some miniatures have been left alone. They've done an absolutely stellar job of the communication. You might not agree with the points changes, but they've done a really, really clear and concise job of explaining why some things have been changed and why some things haven't. And they've tweaked some things up and they've tweaked some things down. That deserves like a lot of attention. What Mantic are doing with their Mantic Vault, with their 3D files and stuff, I've got my concerns about it, but that's just me personally. I think the fact that they are out there ahead of all the other miniatures games companies trying to do something different deserves attention and deserves a bit of noise and a bit of chat. But it all gets nerfed into the background. It all gets peeled into insignificance next to where our Games Workshop are going to bring back an old game that they used to make 20 years ago, kind of thing. That frustrates me a bit. Whilst it's not, it doesn't make me angry. I just find it a little bit irritating. I'll be perfectly honest. Let's have a little look here. Jez is saying the Midland range is lovely, lots of character, including some Kev Adams goblins and lots of RPG types, all metal. Yeah, I assumed they were all metal, mate, but I'm not familiar with the range. The other store that's not too far away from me as well is Northumbrian Tin Soldier, and I'm aware of some of the miniatures that they do, and I've seen those ones kind of in the flesh. But yeah, the Midland ones are things I sometimes, every now and again, I'll see them like on Kickstarter or something and think, oh yeah, they make miniatures as well, don't they? Sunderland saying good evening. He says, I hope everyone's well. I'm recovering from my birthday weekend. I did some episodes of The Walking Drunk with my mates. I went to a wedding do on Saturday, mate, and I partook in some alcohol to a level that was beyond my expectation, shall we say. John saying, yeah, I often go into Midland. I love the 6mm sci-fi. I have the rule sets for Future War Commander, which you can use any scale of minis. There's 40k lists in the rules, but with different names for copyright, yeah. Mark said he's been painting some minis for a Cyberpunk campaign. Very nice. And VG saying, yeah, there's a new Walking Dead TV show just started. I was thinking about giving it a look this week. Yeah, I forgot what it's called. And yeah, and Annie's saying the same thing. The Negan show is out in America. It's not here yet. If I remember right, it is basically it's the Walking Dead set in a different city with obviously different characters. But I think Negan is in it, I believe. Let's have a little look here. I've just skipped ahead a little bit. Where's it? People talking about Jomo there, the joy of missing out. Clyde saying, I missed Mars Attacks. Could really do with some of those snarling badges, Majestics 39-13 game. I've got Mars Attacks. I've got the original Mantic one. It's a pretty good game, to be fair, because it is essentially a forerunner for Dead Zone. So working with your models moving within squares, and rather than it being kind of more three-dimensional with height, you move around and kind of you can place your model anywhere in the square behind terrain and stuff like that. It was a really cool little game, actually. I still play it now and again with my little boy. He just loves the ideas of kind of like killing the aliens and shooting with the soldiers and stuff like that. Gav says, did you finish the Dwarf and Crow from last week? I didn't, mate. I've not picked up a paintbrush since then, I'll be perfectly honest. I've had a busy kind of sort of few days since then. What was that? That was like Wednesday night, wasn't it? Thursday, I forget. Oh, Thursday I started work on Mantic, a video I'm doing for Mantic for the Kings of War Slow Grow campaign thing. So I started work on that. Friday I was working on the video with Annie, so filmed it in the morning, edited in the afternoon, and uploaded it on the evening. Saturday I was at a wedding do, so that was kind of like, that was a bit of a write-off. And then Sunday, my son, my oldest son, stayed over Saturday night and did the babysitting for us, so we could go out on Saturday night. So then I spent the day with my son on Sunday, and then here we are back today on Monday, and I'm working again. So yeah, I've not picked a brush up, mate, since then. Annie's saying, trying to promote anything and then GW sneezes and you lose all the momentum, like when there's Malibu Stacy with a new hat. Oh, God, yeah, tell me about it. I be honest, because I'm not somebody that's that close to like 40k stuff. Whenever there's a new like Space Marine comes out or a new box of stuff comes out, I always kind of like secretly to myself think, like, is that not already? Is that new or is that not new? I feel stupid asking this. This feels like something I've already seen like 3 or 4 times before. But I guess that's because it's not on my radar. It's not the thing that I'm kind of all over. I'm not sort of seeing anything bad about it. It just all feels very similar to me. That's the only thing. But yeah, it does frustrate me. I just wish everybody could have their time in the sun a little bit. Like I don't want to force things down people's throats, but I would like people to be able to see these things to then go, oh, that's not for me. I'm not really interested in that. Or actually, if it hadn't been for me getting exposed to this, I wouldn't have known this was even a thing. But unfortunately, it puts a blanket over everything, and a lot of it gets lost. It's a real shake. Andy 2D6, hello mate, how you doing? He's saying, yeah, but she's got a new hat. Jez said, I previously bought one of John's prints for a photo background. I'm really chuffed with that handiwork, and Bad Squiddo are getting this book out, and awesome value too. It is awesome value, mate. It's a really, really cool product. And I was, Annie and I were chatting last week, I think it was on Thursday. And I just said, I think it's a fantastic product. If there's anything I can do to help, like just say. And she said, do you fancy doing like an interview thing? But I was more than happy to do it. It's just nice to kind of like, it's nice to try and, I mean, even if I can only help in a small way, like for example, I know that because of people watching my video, some of them have clicked the link and gone to see the Kickstarter, because I put like a little tracking thing in the background so I can see how many times that link gets clicked, for example. So I know that there are people who have watched my video and then clicked on the link and gone through to the Kickstarter. And if that's just a few more people who go and see something that they otherwise wouldn't have got the opportunity to see, then for me that's a good thing. So yeah, I just want people to get to see the cool things. I'm just trying to bring it up now. So where are we? Because now we've got a nice little gang in, we might as well just give it a little bit of a push here. Here we go. So, for those of you that are not familiar with what we're talking about here, first of all, why haven't you watched my video? That's disgraceful. Get over there after this live stream and watch my video. But seriously. Yeah, so there's 19 hours left to go on this Kickstarter. It's John Hodgson Backgrounds book, and it's being done in collaboration with Annie there at Bad Squiddo Games as well. And if you're saying, well, what the hell is it? I'll give you the 30-second pitch of what this is. You know, when you're taking pictures of your miniatures, and you either just hold them up and you have all of your painting table and your brushes and all the crap in the background, and your photographs don't look very good of your miniatures, and you want to share them on Facebook and Instagram and all that kind of malarkey. Well, this basically just gives you a book full of background images that you just put the book on the table behind your miniature, maybe put a few bits of terrain in front of it, stuff like that, and it makes it look really cinematic. And if I go back to the campaign here, so these are the kind of things that you can get. So basically what we've got here is we've got a miniature sitting on a little piece of terrain, and then in the background is one of John's sort of landscape like arts. And here's another one as well, using these ones are using some of Annie's miniatures as well. And it is a book that started off as 24 different backdrops, and has grown to 32 now. And they are predominantly kind of sort of real world fantasy-esque type thing, as you can see on here. However, because of the success of the Kickstarter, there's now a second book, a sci-fi book, which again is up to 32 pages now as well. And as you can see here, all the stretch goals, it absolutely smashed through the stretch goals. He wanted I think it was £150 was the target, and as you can see, it's just clicked over the £22,000 mark, so it is absolutely flying. And I think as well, in the updates potentially, I think there might have been some images of this. Here's some of the sci-fi prints that John's been sort of working on as well. So if you're thinking about backing it, you can back it for the fantasy-esque book, if you like, or the real world book. You can also back it for the sci-fi book, or you can back it as a package for the two books. So here's just some of the images that, if I zoom in here, will this help those images? There we go, we'll zoom in a bit. We'll just go back on. Yeah, these are just some of the sci-fi images that John's been working with to add into the book as well. So yeah, and of course we had the little we had our little interview as well. So there's a chat there as well. So what I'll do is I will, as he tinkers away in the background, I will just go to here, and I'll go to here, and I'm just getting you a link. There we go. So copy. Let's go back to here. There is a link in the chat that will take you to the Kickstarter, so you can have a look at it and just check it out. Even if you just check it out and have a look and see if it's something that you think might be useful for you, it's really appreciated. Let's have a little look down the chat here as well. Jez is saying new hat, it's not as good as the old hat. VJ's saying, oh yeah, the new month of the vault is up, got to download that. Yep. Super Pumpkin Man says, for me the show killed any interest in the comics, video games or tabletop games for Walking Dead, mainly due to the repetitive of the plot. The thing is, the plot for the comic books was a bit different to the plot of the show, because obviously they've got to try and bring in more characters, and they've got to try and keep a different kind of a pace when it comes to a TV show, and they've also got to try and get it into nice little kind of season packages and stuff. The comic book was a bit more interesting than that. Let's have a little look down here. Yeah, Annie's saying 570 backers too. That's not doing too bad, is it? 570 backers. Annie says, John's awesome too. Been really fun working with him. Nice change from doing things on my own. Hashtag go team. Yeah, I can vouch for that as well. Because working on your own is all right sometimes, but I tell you what, the novelty can wear off pretty quick as well. Even if you're someone like me that enjoys a bit of solitude from time to time, and actually quite enjoys kind of having some time on their own. Working on your own all the time can be quite frustrating, and it's nice to bounce ideas off people. It's nice to have a bit of a laugh and a carry on and a bit of a chit chat and a bit of a break from sometimes. So yeah, I'm envious of the fact that you have a nice little collaboration there. Cleo saying it's such a good idea, way better for minis than postcard backgrounds I usually use. There's loads of ways to put like backgrounds behind your miniatures. People print things off, but then not everybody's got a home printer, and obviously you've got to store these bits of paper that end up getting crinkled up or get chucked in the bin, or they get splashed with your paint water and the ink runs on the paper. Speaking from experience, people use kind of TV screens, laptop screens, iPads, phones, all that kind of stuff. But something sometimes gets lost in the color palette a little bit. You can try photoshopping stuff in as well, but then that again, it takes a little bit of work and you need to know what you're doing. These are just such a really, really clever, simple idea that it is a travesty that these things didn't already exist. Joel's saying on that book, that book looks amazing. They showed it on Tabletop on Friday. I really might back it. Yeah, well, you've got 19 hours, mate, to dip in there. Luke's saying, sorry I'm late, sweethearts. How we're all doing? Nice to see you, Luke. How are you doing? VJ saying, yeah, congrats on the book. It looks great. I wish postage didn't make it unfeasible for Aussie purchase. And Annie's saying, yeah, it'll be in her online shop as well afterwards as well. So if you don't have the money now, or you decided that you missed out on it, or whatever it is, it will be available to purchase at retail afterwards. And yeah, VJ is saying, yeah, the sci-fi backgrounds look great. They do as well, mate. Yeah. Samir saying the backgrounds book is so nice, such a great idea to add that extra little something to your miniature photography. Yeah, I kind of went over this a little bit in the interview that we did as well. That I genuinely think these books are for everybody. I think anybody that paints miniatures quite enjoys sort of sharing them with people. Like we all have these online communities, things like this BlackJack Legacy community. You have Facebook groups. We all have sort of Instagram accounts and that kind of stuff. And we do sometimes, we're quite proud of our kind of painting, no matter what standard it's at. Sometimes you paint something and you go, you know what it is? I did a bloody good job of that kind of thing. And it's nice to take, even if you just pick up your phone and take a picture of it, you still want it to represent how it looks in your eyes kind of thing. And I think these backgrounds are just that. It's not about being professional. It's not about kind of having lights all over the place and fancy DSLR cameras and stuff. I think it just elevated from, instead of holding that mini up and taking a shot of it, just placing it in place, putting one of those backgrounds down, it instantly just grounds that miniature in in a realism and in its own little world. And I honestly can't speak highly enough of that. I just think it's just such a good idea. Yes, Samir is saying, will the background books be available at any retailers in the USA? And Annie's saying, I can imagine Handiwork has American retailers that it'll end up with. Yeah, so I guess at some point that might well be the case. And yeah, Jez is saying John's art is perfect for it. Gav saying he's just backed it. Nice one, Gav. Glad it was something that you found was used for you. Paul Inman saying he's just backed the book as well. This has been using mouse mats as my background, but they have some weird qualities that can muck about with the lighting. You know what it is, mate? Like you write mouse mats, because they're printed on a texture, sometimes your camera wants to focus on the texture as well. With these nice kind of, they're not soft focus, but they're like a soft painting style. These are beautiful. And the fact that it's a book that can go on the shelf, the pages are not going to get damaged. You can just take it down. It's got those nice spiral ring bind down the side as well, so you can fold them back on themselves. You're not trying to break a spine, or you're not trying to kind of hold it open and stuff. I just think it's such a great idea. Samir saying the interview was wonderful to watch. Seeing the love that folks put in their work and the joy it brings to them as they do it is also inspirational. It was really, to be honest, Samir, I appreciate that. I had a little chat with John just before Annie arrived on the call, and it is interesting talking to other folks who just kind of pursue something for the love of what they do, kind of thing. I certainly do this because I love what I do. Like if I was only in this for the clicks, if you like, I'd be covering Warhammer stuff, or I'd be covering I'd be up there with a rage channel, kind of arguing about why Marvel's gone woke and why it's the end of the universe, kind of thing. That would get me lots of views, but I don't. I cover the things that I'm passionate about, and I cover the things that I really do enjoy, and it's really nice to speak with other people who do the same thing as well, because not everybody gets to do it, even though they might want to, and not everybody kind of sticks the course and manages to make it work. So yeah, it is nice just seeing people's passions coming across. And he's seen I did a handy little guide too on my channel as a no gear simple picks tips. Yeah, so if you haven't seen it already, go to Bad Squiddo Games YouTube channel, and Annie's done a fantastic video which basically takes you through a bit of a step-by-step. I've got a phone. This is how to take very simple miniature photos, kind of thing, and get the best out of them, because we're not looking to kind of hang things in the Louvre Art Gallery kind of thing. We're looking to kind of take some nice little quick pictures, and we're looking to share them with our friends on online platforms. And Annie's tips really do just kind of nail what 90% of people want. There's always going to be somebody who wants to sort of set up something fancy with lighting and kind of smoke blown across and all that kind of stuff, and have sort of shutters like fancy automatic shutter things on cameras and things like that. That's their hobby. Photography is their hobby. The vast majority of us just want to take some good pictures, shall we say. Yeah, Jez is saying, nice background puts the Mini in a scene and people won't spot your dodgy brushwork. Do you know what, mate? There's an element of that as well, because all of a sudden it's a scene as well. One thing I would always recommend to folks is, if you're taking a picture of one miniature on its own, try and set it in a scene. Even if you don't back like this book kind of thing, try and put a bit of terrain in the picture or something like that. Try and put some kind of coloured backdrop behind it or something, because it stops your miniature being the absolute main focus. If you get one of those if you get a white piece of paper and you just shine lights at it and you take a picture of it, yes, your Mini will be the focus of that photograph, but it's warts and all at that stage kind of thing. I prefer to try and put it with other miniatures, because as soon as you put more than one miniature in a group shot, you instantly kind of take a little bit of a step backwards to fit them all in, and the photograph isn't like all of a sudden huge. Like if you, for example, like you take one single miniature on that phone, like it ends up being like 10 times the size of the actual miniature, and then what happens is all of your brushwork becomes accentuated 10 times the size. There's little tips and tricks to taking pictures of your miniatures that basically just like they do your paintwork justice kind of thing. It's really, really hard to if you've got one single miniature on a screen, it's really hard not to kind of zoom into it and look at it, and then basically it becomes an unrealistic like sort of paint job on it, really. Where are we up to here? Yeah, Annie's saying, cheers Clyde, yeah, it's a struggle. Blair saying, it's such a great idea. John's art's fantastic. Wish it had Gelter back. John saying, yeah, just back for both books. Nice one, mate. Zingbo saying, White Dwarfs included a handful of photo backdrops in the last year or two, but the ones in the book look really nice, and I've backed to get both books. I think I spoke about this on the interview as well, that in the Star Wars Shatterpoint box, Atomic Mass Games have done exactly the same thing, and it's nice that they're in like sort of White Dwarfs and things like that. But what you will generally find is over time you'll forget which White Dwarf it was in. It'll go on the shelf, or it'll go in a cupboard somewhere, and you'll forget which one had the background in, or you'll cut it out, and because it's thin pieces of paper from like a magazine, they'll get crumpled, or you have to stick it to something because the light shines through it because the paper's so thin and all that kind of stuff. There's ways to do it, and I'm not saying that this book is the only way. I'm just saying that I personally think that this book is the most convenient way. Let's have a little look here. Jez is saying the BlackJack painting challenges are going to be way prettier when the book lands. I'm looking forward to seeing that, mate, to be fair. Samir says, it's easy to see your content comes from the love of the hobby, Andy. Thank you. That's one reason all of us are here. The channel's such a breath of fresh air compared to the never-ending GW new release. I've got nothing bad to say about the folks that cover the GW stuff. That's their passion. That's what they love. And I'm really happy that people who love GW stuff are covering GW stuff. I'm sure there are some people who are getting a little bit sick of it now and feel like they're just... I did see, for example, anybody that knows Silver Paints, she does a lot of stuff on Instagram. She's got quite a big Instagram account, and I know she gets invited to a lot of the kind of the GW open day type things and stuff like that. And we've met a few times through some work we've done with Steamforged Games in the past. Really nice girl. And I did notice on her Instagram account this week, she's essentially said that she's taken a bit of a back seat now because she feels like she's painting stuff that she thinks other people want to see, or that GW is sending her, rather than the things that she's passionate about, and rather than the things that she really wants to kind of give it a go at. So she's taking a little bit of a break and a bit of a back seat and focusing on a real world career kind of thing, if you like. So it just shows there are people out there who basically it can get to a point if you want to chase sort of views and clicks and likes and all that kind of stuff, you have to cater to the vast majority of people, as opposed to doing the things that you love and hoping other people love it too. But it's very, very easy to get a little bit like lost in that kind of stuff. Annie's saying we unlocked a few pages in the books with photo tips too. A layman's phone guide by Annie, and a pro camera guy with advanced tips. That's good. That's be good to see. Cleo's saying that's a good point. You won't be so focused on the glitches and the gloopy bits. Yeah, exactly. And Samia saying all my lack of brushwork becomes apparent when the shot is zoomed in close. Exactly. And Gav saying stand by for every monthly challenge having these books used. Yeah, do you know what it is? If that's the case, mate, it will only help folks. That's for sure. And Jess is saying, yeah, I always take my mini pics in a scene. They look nicer and it spreads the focus. I can't be arsed with painting eyes and that. Yeah. Let's have a little look down here. We'll skip through some of these as well. Skulldoggery saying, my minis look great in person, but sometimes it's a real struggle to get them to look as good in the photos. Mine's exactly the same, mate. It's why I put them in a little group shot, and I get back from the camera and I make it look like it's a little scene type thing. If you just take a picture of one individual miniature, it becomes like isolated. It just becomes, it's really hard not to see all that, like, oh, I can see the brush stroke in this, or I can see a bit where I've missed a bit, or I can see a bit where the wash has left a bit of a mark or something like that. You start obsessing over the bad bits. If you can get away from it a little bit and ground it in a scene, you start appreciating like just how nice it looks, kind of thing. Let me skip ahead a little bit here. Matt says I hiss at the camera, swipe at the camera. I'm not a big fan of having my photograph taken, if I'm perfectly honest. I'm kind of weird about video because like I guess it's almost, I think because I'm kind of moving and talking, nobody's here for the looks kind of thing. It's more to do with the conversation and the chat and the video images and all that kind of stuff. But I really don't enjoy getting my photograph taken, I'll be honest. Annie said, who's this? Missed that bit. It was Silver Paint, yes. And Vijay saying, yeah, we're sort of expecting to see a UK Games Expo. To be honest, the Expo is very much a bit of a mixed bag when it comes to like kind of content creators and stuff like that, because traditionally it's been very much like board game related, and the painters, I guess, like maybe less so like attend that kind of thing. Yeah, Annie saying, I'm glad I got started in the hobby before social media. I do worry when people get it monetized really early and then see them go down the path of it becoming not enjoyable anymore. I've been through those kind of the peaks and troughs. You go through a bit of a point where things are starting to get quite successful and doing quite well, and you can get addicted to kind of like to chasing those like views and things like that. I've had to kind of come through my own kind of ups and downs to come out the other side, and now I'm less concerned a little bit now about how well a video does. I kind of, once the video is done, it's up there, I kind of move on to the next one, and people will find it. If people want to see it, people will find it. If somebody gets some use from it, if like they'll share it, they'll talk to their friends. As long as I'm kind of proud of the work, as long as I can upload a video and say I'm happy with what I've done, kind of thing, that's kind of where I get my validation from, I suppose. I'm not really looking to get it from other people these days. It's more a case of like, did I enjoy making this video, and did I enjoy editing it, and am I proud of what I've done at the end of it, kind of thing. And that, I suppose, that for me now. But then I'm a guy in my late 40s kind of thing who maybe has a different mindset. If I was doing this in my 20s or something like that, I think things might be very, very different. Right, what we're going to do is we're going to dive in and show some of this month's painting challenges. And then what we'll do is we'll do the first half, we'll do the Walking Dead chat, and then we'll come back and do the next bit as well. So we're going to start with, I'll tell you what, let me get the emails on my phone as well, so that I can make sure that I'm just looking through my files now. I can make sure that I'm talking about the right miniatures as well. And I've actually done them in the order that people submitted them this time. So Mr. Ed Handley was first, and Ed has done this one. So as you can see, he's been painting some Legion minis here. And Andy's saying clones, but probably not the clones you were expecting. Hopefully I'll get some Shatterpoint done too, but as these fit the theme, it seemed daft not to send them. So for those that don't know what this month's theme was, it was Summer of Sci-Fi. So we're going to see a lot of sci-fi miniatures here today. So Ed, with those, love those, mate. I love the red bases on them as well. The background really sets it off as well. Here is a perfect example of what we're talking about not one individual mini on its own, because it becomes too much to focus on just that one thing, and you end up looking at all the things that you're not as happy with rather than the things that you think you've done well. And putting it in a background as well just kind of like just sets the tone. It just makes it feel kind of like grounded in a little bit of a story. So yeah, love that, mate. Love the color choices. Oranges are really nicely done. Love the texture on the bases. Really nice clean white paint jobs as well on those clone troopers. Awesome, mate. And he also submitted a cheeky second one, which the eagle-eyed of you will have seen that this was actually used in the thumbnail tonight. So I thought, if you're going to sell out and try and get some GW miniatures into your thumbnails, why not do it with a cool looking one like this? And this is a Necron Technomancer, he says. Said that just slips in time. It did, mate. Awesome work on this as well. Love the green colour to it. Really nice with the metallics. And this little kind of, I don't know if that's kind of like a goldy bronze or if it's orange, but it really does tie everything together as well, mate. So yeah, nice a bit of work there, fella. So let's see who we've got next. Next up, we've got Mr. John Shepherd. And John, if I can read his email, he said this is the Death Guard that he's been painting. He's got Typhus here, and I apologise if I get these in the wrong order. I hope the names are in the same order of the photographs I've got here. So we've got Typhus here. Love the colour choices, mate. The green and gold with the purple really does hinge together very nicely as well. Nice kind of sort of verdigris type stuff as well on the weapon. Looks cool, and I like the texture you've gone for on the base. We've got a Land Raider here as well, and again really fits with the theme of that army as well. Love the green on the paneling here. Nice bit of weathering around on the turrets and stuff. I do like the Land Raider, mine. I must admit they're a nice model. And then we've got a Plague Caster, really looking nice with this the purple kind of blast of stuff. I forget what it is, but I like the highlights and that on there as well, mate. Nice colour choices. The red really pops on there as well with the kind of the guts hanging out of the stomach and stuff, and the purple pulling through there to the bell as well. Looks nice. And then last but not least, we've also got a Foul Blight Spawn. And again, yeah, I love the way you've pulled the greens through, the purples through, and just, yeah, suitably disgusting, mate, in a very nice way. So yeah, thank you for submitting them. Thank you for submitting them, John, and yeah, really appreciate you taking part. Next up, we've got Mr. Thomas Penn, and Thomas has sent me quite a few pictures here, but he's got this month's painting challenge was a 3D printed space shuttle a friend printed for his core space crew. He's made some modifications to the files to allow extra room in each of the wing sections, and some DIY work with cardstock to add a second deck for the crew quarters as well. The original green resin was undercoated first in Halford's black undercoat, top layer of Halford's grey undercoat before picking out the details using artist's acrylic paints, and dry brushing the outside and using oil-based black wash to highlight the inside detail. So as you can see, this is quite the size, this ship that has been 3D printed. And as we zip through, you can see it all starting to come together. I'll skip ahead a little bit. This gives you an idea about what the inside of it is like, with the little seats and the dashboard and stuff inside the cockpit, I should say. Here's some of the rooms in the back. Here it is when it's been all primed and ready to go. And we're starting to see it kind of come together at this stage. And here it is actually in the game as well, being used. So like if you imagine that these are the core space miniatures, it gives you just an idea of the size of this thing, and it really does look nice. Really like the way some of these things have been picked out. I love the way when you've got a big miniature like this, sometimes less is more as well, and that's definitely rather than going overboard, this is just the right amount of kind of detail and stuff. Picking out some bits and pieces. Here you can see the work he's done inside the cockpit. And here's some of the miniatures inside as well. And I think that will certainly help any games of core space to look that little bit extra special as well. Really like those, mate. Just gives you an idea of what it's like. And here it is, all opened up. So, fantastic work, mate. Thank you very, very much, Thomas. Really appreciate what you submitted there, mate. Next up, we've got Mr. Scott Barnett. And Scott is saying he's not sure if he missed the cutoff for the Summer of Sci-Fi Challenge. He didn't, so here we go. He says, Summer, because that's when I painted them this past week. Sci-Fi, because they're 4 of my 5 Majestic 13 team members. They're from, thumbnails. There you go, I've just seen it at the bottom of the email. There he goes. He says, they are from a faction that's making use of my augmented alien tech to try and save Earth. There you go, mate. So yeah, I'm glad you got the chance to see them, mate. Hopefully, but these are really, really nice, mate. I'm just having a look to see. I'm not sure where the miniatures are from, mate. I'm not familiar with them. It's not potentially could be Necromunda minis. I'm not familiar with. I'm not sure, but I do really like them, mate. There's some real kind of sort of. Like the poses. I like the poses in them. Some nice action. They feel like some kind of sort of hit squad type thing. Really like them, mate. Really nice work. Lovely colour choices as well. Excellent work, thumbnails. Thank you very much, Scott. Next up, we've got Mr. Deep Red. And Deep Red, he said he finished just in time for this month's challenge. My Martian tripods and human tanks. They're made by me out of acrylic for a little game I made because I'm a huge War of the Worlds fan. I have been since before I was a teenager, which was many, many decades ago. Yeah, these are cool, mate. So these are made out of acrylic. Nice. I love these. So these are the tripods. And then we've got some little human tanks there as well, ready to take down the invasion. I like those, mate. Really nice. And I'm assuming from what you're saying as well, it's a game that you made as well, which makes it even better, mate. Nice when you're doing a bit of work for yourself. They're cool, buddy. Really like them. They fit the theme, so thank you very much for sharing them. Next up, we've got Newbie Dice, Paige Neo. And Paige has been, he says, not exactly sci-fi. It's got a big gun on it, I will give you that. Says, but this goblin slasher is kit bashed with the Firefight Marauders weapon team for the Howdy mounted weapon to signify the new War Trumpets upgrade. Ready to spew pink hallucinogenic fumes at enemies. Pink skinned goblins allow me to use green for the slasher for contrast. So this is the model that he's basically started from with a little bit of kit bashing and stuff. And then this is these colour choices here, which I must admit do look pretty cool. The gun looks suitably sci-fi to me, mate. You get a pass. I like the base on this as well, with the little bits of the sort of the crystals and the gems and stuff coming off this. Looks really, really nice. And you're right, the green and the pink do go together really well. There's a bit of a better shot so you can kind of see it on the base as well. It's nice on the base with it being kind of raised up a little bit as well. Sets it off. Love the skin tone choices as well, with the little bits of highlights on the scales and that kind of creamy yellow off white type thing of the spikes and stuff. Really does set it off. But yeah, nice work, mate. Really do appreciate you sending that in, buddy. Thank you very much. Next, we've got Nigel, which is Haxan, in the chat there tonight. And he said he's got some pictures here for his June challenge. He said, I paint most days, but the challenge inspired me to break out the Chronicle X boxes, which I have had for a few years. This was a Kickstarter game that was a bit of a disaster. However, the minis were made by Archon, and I got a good deal on it with a view to using the model for something else. I also painted the Gallo Dark terrain, nothing fancy on it, a lot of dry brush silver and cheap acrylic paint rather than mini specific, roughly 2 weeks work. Nice, mate. Awesome. Love what you've done, mate. Nothing wrong with the terrain as well, mate. Does really set it off. And yeah, no problem at all with that, mate. And these are the miniatures themselves. Nice with the greys and the reds there, looking really, really cool. Nice bit of basing work there as well. Yeah, these look. I'm not familiar with this game, this Chronicle X thing, but yeah, the minis. I must admit, the minis are very. They've got a very, is it Geiger-esque feel about them. A little bit of Aliens about them, with the kind of these elongated headpieces and they almost like that kind of alien spine thing coming down. Nice, mate. I like these. Really nice. Love the kind of the yellowy gold there as well. Picks out lovely. The blood spatter on the sword there, looking pretty good as well. Some kind of horrendous Rancor-esque beast. Yeah. See, this is what I mean about like kind of like setting things in like a little story, like that instantly like brings a story. Somebody's poking through that little open door, and there's somebody waiting for them on the other side, kind of thing. I like that, mate. But yeah, these are great. Really, really nice work, mate. Should be proud of your work. Love the choice of the blue on the on these alien skin there as well. Really pops out nice. Yeah, I love those little pictures. Yeah, love it, mate. And you should be proud of the terrain as well, mate. Even getting it finished is a job in itself. So well done, mate. Well done. Next up, we've got Mr. Jonathan Dawson. And Jonathan says, thanks for the motivation yet again. You are very welcome, my friend. He says, was keen to paint some more Judge Dredd minis, which was one of my favourite miniatures games. Meet the Sky Raiders. Simple paint job, made it look better with adding rust to make it look like they're on hard times. I tell you what, mate, there's nothing like a little bit of weathering to sort that out. Awesome, mate. And he's saying some very nice words about looking to join the Patreon and stuff as well, mate. Yeah, thank you very much. You'll be a welcome addition to the gang. So thank you very much. These are awesome, mate. Love the colour choices. I really love how the brighter colours of the trousers and the jacket standing out. And I love what you've done with the weathering as well, just to kind of put a bit of grounding in them as well. Look cool. Love this with a surfboard. Really, really nice. I'm not familiar with these models, these Judge Dredd miniatures, but they do look pretty cool. I quite like them. I love that kind of the surfboard look to it there as well. Yeah, you can see that bike from the side there as well. I do like these. Nice kits, these. They are nice miniatures. And I love what you've done, mate. Yeah, I could see me painting some sci-fi surfer dudes. I quite like them. Nice work, mate. Thank you very much again for taking part. Next up, we've got Mr. Clyde Dashing. And Clyde, he said, some Warlord games. Some Warlord games. Exterminate, Doctor Who minis, Dalek, Cybermen, and TARDIS. Love these, mate. I'm not that familiar with Doctor Who stuff, but I am familiar enough to know what a Cyberman and a Dalek is. So yeah, these are pretty cool. Love the basin, mate, nice and clean. Love the weathering that you've done on these as well. Picking out the little I don't even know what it is. Is it an eye? Is it a gun? I've got no idea what it is. Whatever the thing is on the front, mate, I love the way you've picked those out as well. It's just kind of like that little spot colour really sets it off. And the Cybermen looking pretty special too, mate. Love them. And then last but not least for this first section, we've got Mr. Chris Lupton, Zingbo here. And Chris said, here's his submissions for the June Painting Challenge. Both are squads of Space Marines, but they're from two very different eras of miniatures. And I've painted them in two different homebrew chapter colour schemes. I like homebrew chapter colour schemes. The red ones are jump pack equipped Primaris Interceptors, which is what you're seeing here. And he says, originally from the 8th edition starter set. I absolutely love the flames to smoke colours that you've done here, mate. They really, really work well. I love the way that we're coming down to kind of the blacks and greys at the base, and right up to kind of like the flames, the yellow flames coming out. And even just these little bits of kind of dry brush or stippled kind of smokes it really, the colour change between the yellow to the black. I just think you've done an awesome job on them, mate. Love the colours of the Marines as well. Picking out the little green, what they call again, the purity seals. Picking them out in green really does kind of pop against that red armour as well. Beautiful work on those, mate. And the other one he's been doing are these blue ones here. He says these are a squad of Terminators from the from the first edition of Space Hulk, all the way back in 1989. Wow, mate. Oh, how they've changed a bit, eh? Oh, how they've changed. I love these, mate. And I don't know if you I'll tell you what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to do that just so you can see here, because the one on the right was getting cut off by my big head. The flames that you've painted on the cowling here for the gun as well, mate, looks absolutely awesome. Really, really like your work on them, mate. Excellent. So thank you very much, everybody that submitted your stuff in. We've got another 10 of these to go through as well, but I thought we'd break the show up a little bit and not do them all in one go. So we've got another 10 to go through later as well. But I'll get back to the chat because I've not really been keeping an eye on that chat stuff. So I've got no idea what folks have been chatting about here. Let's have a little look here. People chatting about all different stuff. Zingbo saying the smoke effects are from Deadly Paint Studio. Airbrush really helped with the flame effects. They look fantastic, mate. Look fantastic. Yeah, and Samir saying very clean paint jobs on those Space Marines. And Samir saying, behold the beauty of the OG Termies. Yes, exactly. And Thumbnails saying, nice job on the yellows. Yeah, and as Jez is just saying there, nice one, folks. All lovely and a good range too. One of the things I always love about doing these kind of community painting challenges, remember, they are a challenge. They're not a competition. There's no prizes. There's no first place or anything like that. It's just a challenge to you to get something painted and paint it to your standard, to the level that you want to paint it to, not to try and kind of like sort of be better than somebody else kind of thing. It's to try and motivate you to paint them. But one of the things that I love the most about doing these challenges are the different ranges of miniatures that we get to see. There's always stuff I've never heard of before. There's always stuff I've never seen. You've got things where people are painting sort of like kids' toys to kind of include in terrain and stuff like that in their games. You've got people like we saw some of those acrylic stuff there as well, like the War of the Worlds tripods type stuff and things. I just love the mixture and the range of stuff and bits of Kid Bash stuff and the different companies that people buy their miniatures from. It's one thing I don't think you really see much of on the internet because it's generally dominated by a few different companies, and that's not what we see here. I love to see the Games Workshop stuff, and I love to see the stuff from the bigger manufacturers, but I also love to see some of those obscure stuff as well that you don't see very often. So yeah, thank you, folks. Mordecai saying turn up just in time to catch the painting. Excellent work, all. Yeah, we'll have another batch of those to go through as well in a little bit later on. Zingbo saying he wasn't much of a fan of the Goblin green bases even back in the day. So green flock and brown base rims are more my thing. Alan Stewart, good evening, Alan. He said his brother's friend stole those Space Hulk Terminators from me, painted all over them and handed them back to me with parts missing. Still haven't forgiven him. I tell you what, I don't blame you. Jess is saying that I know some of the Doctor Who costume folks, they require lots of gluing back together constantly. And Annie's saying I might even get in on these motivation to paint. That's the whole point, Annie. Doesn't matter how good something is. Doesn't matter if it's your best work. It's just to kind of get people into the rhythm of sometimes if you're not somebody that plays games, and maybe you just paint the odd miniature now and again. Sometimes it's just that little motivation. Like people sign up for a tournament and they think, oh, I've got to get this army painted, or they maybe they wanting to play a certain game at the weekend, so I'm going to paint these miniatures. Sometimes that's the motivation people need. But if you're just somebody that likes to paint now and again, the motivation needs to come from you sometimes, and that's what these challenges are about, really. Just giving people a little bit of a gentle nudge and going, you fancy painting some miniatures this month? And the challenges are always relatively wide open, so that it kind of brings everything in. Rick's saying he's excited for the new Combat Patrol sets coming out. Are there new ones coming, mate? I wasn't sure if they were just keeping the existing ones. Skullduggery saying looking forward to hearing what next month's challenge is. I'll probably have these Raptors done by then. And Jess is saying what's next month's theme. I'll tell you what the theme is now, just because obviously we're having a little bit of a break between the painting bits. But next month's theme is going to be basically quite an open-ended one. And because I'm running the Kings of War Slow Grow campaign over the next few months, ready for Mantic's their global campaign. This month we had Sci-Fi Summer last month. We're going to have Fantastic Fantasy this month. So yeah. Fantasy miniatures is the order of the day this month. If you're painting some World War II stuff or something like that, or you're painting some historical stuff and you want to try and maybe you can create a bit of a story around them about how it's an alternative history and it's fantastical that way. I just want to see you painted miniatures, if I'm honest. But it's nice to give a bit of an overarching theme to it. So yeah, Fantastic Fantasy is this month's theme. All right. So let's chat The Walking Dead. So let me get my information here. So for those of you that are not aware, the Walking Dead miniatures game came out, I think, in 2016. I'm pretty sure it was 2016. It came out just as my son was born, and he's 7 this year. So yeah, that would make the game 7 years old this year. So was it 2016? Yeah, it was 2016. It came out around November 2016, the game. And the reason I remember this is because the first video I ever made on this channel was a Walking Dead miniatures game video, and it was because I just received my Kickstarter. And so this channel basically started off the back of the Walking Dead miniatures game by Mantic. And it was based upon the comic books written by Robert Kirkman rather than the TV shows that everybody might be more familiar with. And the company that basically owns the Walking Dead rights is a company called Skybound. Skybound do a number of different comics and bits and pieces. Robert Kirkman, who wrote The Walking Dead, quite famous, has done like lots of other stuff as well. If anybody's seen Renfield, the Nicolas Cage film that came out recently, Renfield is based upon a comic book written by Robert Kirkman as well. So Robert Kirkman owns this company called Skybound. And Mantic have worked with Skybound for a number of years on the Walking Dead miniatures license. Now, what happened was a little while ago, kind of just after the pandemic type times, is Skybound decided to end the license with Mantic. They decided that for whatever reason, and I'm not privy to what the reasons were, for whatever reason, they decided they didn't want to continue with the license. And that meant that Mantic could not only finish off the kind of the story arcs for the Walking Dead with their miniatures games, it meant they couldn't even sell the game anymore. They couldn't produce the miniatures anymore. They basically, that was it. That was the end of the Walking Dead miniatures game. And it wasn't something Mantic wanted to do. Mantic were quite keen to continue this. It was something that Skybound decided to do. So we've had no more Walking Dead miniature stuff for quite some time. Mantic made a game called The Walking Dead All Out War, which was like a miniature skirmish game that you could play either solo, you could play it cooperatively, or you could play it player versus player. They expanded that out to a game called The Walking Dead Call to Arms, which became a bit more of a bigger scale game. The idea from Ronnie was essentially people have got all these different miniatures. The Walking Dead All Out War maybe only uses 5 or 6 models per side. Everybody's got loads and loads of models. This will be a good opportunity for them to use lots of models at the same time. So these rules were designed for more, I wouldn't say army scale, but bigger scale games. And they also brought out the Haze Negan board game as well, which was a bit of a dungeon crawler. And it's a lot of fun, to be fair. I did a live stream of it and played it through on this channel as well. So yeah, so all of those games basically dead and buried, can't get them anymore. If anybody hasn't had the chance to play the games, unless you're picking them up secondhand, you won't see them for sale anywhere else. Now, last week, there was this information came from Mantic. Now, it's recently been the, I think over in Reno, they have the licensing show. And I know Mantic go every year, Ronnie goes every year, and this is where they kind of speak to the different like licensing partners and stuff. And they said, we're super excited to announce that today Mantic have renewed our partnership with Skybound Entertainment. So this is the company that owns the Walking Dead license. We've previously collaborated with Skybound over 5 very enjoyable years to bring the legendary comic book series The Walking Dead to the tabletop, and we're thrilled to be back together and working on new games. Now, the 2 games that they're working on with Skybound are dice games. And one of them is, I'll come back to The Walking Dead. One of them is Invincible, the dice game. This is not something that I'm particularly familiar with. I'm aware it's a comic book that's been around for a number of years. I'm also aware there's an animated series that's on Amazon Prime, which by all accounts is very good and was really well received. It came out in 2021, I believe. But Mantic have made these kind of card and dice games very, very quick, sort of push your luck type of games which are coming out. The other one is a Walking Dead dice game, which again is very much a push your luck. It's saying Rick Grimes is recruiting for an open spot in his group of hardy survivors and you're determined to prove your worth. Players take the role of the hopefuls who are required to undertake a live supply run by exploring a known hot zone infested with walkers and any other survivor groups who can recover the biggest stash of resources as they explore the rooms and vehicles of the abandoned town. So, this was the announcement that Mantic were now going to be working with Skybound again. And obviously the first thing on a lot of people's kind of lips was, does this mean The Walking Dead's coming back? And generally, at the time, most people were saying, nah, it doesn't look like it. They're just working on these kind of small dice and card games. It's not really much to get excited about. Now that was until a certain Mr. Ronnie Renton, who for those who don't know, owns Mantic, posted this message. And it was in the Walking Dead Fanatics Facebook page, so not everybody might have seen this. And it was this message here, and I'll zoom in a little bit so you can read it. And Ronnie had said, okay, so things just got interesting. We are working with Skybound again. Currently, that's on these card games. You can read all about them here, and there was a link to it. It says, my view is there are a lot of people who would love to see us finish the All-Out War collection with the Commonwealth faction and the last few heroes, but I could be wrong. So, is that a conversation I should have with Skybound? Has All-Out War run its course, or do we fancy one more go around? Let me know in the comments and we can go from there. So, this was Ronnie essentially asking the fans of the Walking Dead miniatures game, is this something that you'd be interested in seeing us kind of revisiting, chatting with Skybound, talking about like maybe renewing the license for the miniatures game and finishing off the story arc. Now, I guess what that means is not only does it mean finishing off the story arc and bringing in the Commonwealth, for those that aren't familiar with the comic books, the Commonwealth are like another one of the kind of the settlements within the Walking Dead storyline. And one of the kind of like the little mini gangs, if you like. That was the one kind of faction, if you like, that was missing to kind of complete the entire story arc for Mantic. But I'm guessing if they can go back and redo that, then we might see some reprints of the core game. We'll see some reprints of maybe other miniatures in the range. And maybe see it kind of get a bit of a second wind and a second life again. Like we were just chatting about earlier on, there's a spin-off series of The Walking Dead has just started on TV. So the interest in The Walking Dead might be starting to kind of bubble up again a little bit. It could be the right time to revisit this. Personally, I'm absolutely, I'd be over the moon to see this happen. I've said many, many times, and I've chatted about this earlier tonight, The Walking Dead All-Out War was always one of the games that was in my top 5 list of games to introduce new players to it. The reason that it was always there was it was single-piece miniatures from the plastics. So they were plastic miniatures, first of all. Single-piece, models already came built. The game, you could play solo against the AI walkers, which I always found was a really, really cool sort of system. That meant you could also play it cooperatively. So if you were trying to introduce somebody to the game who's never played before, rather than that very adversarial stuff that you get from games like 40k, this would be a case of it's me and you against the walkers, against the zombies. And I'll help you, and we can help each other, and we can work as a team. And then once you got to grips with the game like that, then you could play player versus player. So I've got my gang of survivors, and you've got your gang of survivors. And the walkers almost acted as this sort of terrain, this dangerous terrain that moved around the board and got in the way. So you could kind of move around and try and shoot your opponent, but when you shot your gun, the noise would alert all the walkers, and you would suddenly become the focus of attention for all of those kind of zombies coming towards you. And then if your opponent decides to shoot their gun, all of a sudden that's where the noise is, and they would start to move that way across the board. And the threat would climb during the game on something called a threat tracker, and certain characters could kind of had nerves of steel, and they could handle the threat. Other maybe younger characters in the game would get nervous very, very quickly, and you'd have to roll to see if they could do the things that they want to do. You could equip your characters with different weapons, and so you could build them out like the characters in the story if you wanted to, and give Rick his hatchet and give Carl his lucky hat. Or you could just kind of build them out and kind of have this uber powerful, like you could have like Michonne, if people are not familiar, she had like kind of like samurai swords, and she had a couple of walkers that were on chains that she would kind of drag around behind her. It was just a really, really cool game. Super simple rules to learn, really, really thematic. Some beautiful kind of like narrative story arcs to play through, so you could play the game through the story of the actual Walking Dead. And then obviously you could also just craft your own stuff. I went to a couple of events for Walking Dead. One of the ones that Paul Welch ran in Manchester, and he created some absolutely amazing like little narrative storylines. There was basically like one of the things we had to do was there was a broken down truck in the middle of the board, and you essentially had to try and push it off your side of the board. So your survivors were basically trying to like steal this truck and basically get the spare parts out of it to get their truck up and running, and your opponent was trying to do the same thing as well. So you basically had to try and push. Not only were you fighting against your opponent, you won the mission if you managed to push the truck off your side of the board. And obviously you've still got zombies and walkers and stuff like kind of coming at you. It was a really, really cool event that Paul ran. He put a lot of heart and soul into it, and it really, really showed. There's some fun. There's a lot of support. There was always a lot of support for The Walking Dead, and I just think if it's something people are genuinely interested in, I would love to see them kind of go and let Ronnie know, let Mantic know that this is really something that he should kind of consider revisiting. Anyway, let me jump back into the chat and see what folks are saying about it, because I'd be really, really keen to see what you folks think. I'm a big fan of The Walking Dead. I've always been a big fan of it. It's where I first met Mantic, and a lot of Mantic supporting what I do and me supporting what Mantic do goes back to those early days with The Walking Dead. So I'm a bit biased. It's dead easy for me to say yes, bring it back, because I mean, let's be honest, I've pretty much got the entire range because I love it so much. And I backed the original Kickstarter, but that doesn't mean I don't want to see it come back. It doesn't mean I don't want to see other people get to enjoy it as well. Let's have a little look here and see what folks are talking about. Yeah, Clyde in 2016. I was there, Gandalf, 3,000 years ago. And he just noticed how detailed Andy's paints are there. How detailed? You mean me or somebody else's? Let's have a little look here. No Commonwealth, yeah, that's it. Bad script. And he's saying the minis are great too. Yeah, Type 40 Todd is saying I love them. I really love that the rank and file units are evenly split between genders. There is that as well. Yeah, there's a real mix of different gender characters. Samir says I didn't realise that. Awesome to hear. And Annie's saying yes, there were a lack of good lady zombies too before that. Yeah, one thing that there was definitely some good female zombies. Samir says I have the Walking Dead Kickstarter set from way back and was never able to find anyone interested in playing. Been sat in the box ever since it arrived. Play it solo, mate. Play it solo. I can absolutely play it solo with what comes in that box. John saying I like the push your luck games. Ink and Gold is one of my favourites. Yeah. Yeah, Jess is saying Ronnie doesn't usually let things slip. Yeah, I mean, so like, I know there was a few folks were kind of like thinking like when I posted I was going to be talking about this tonight, we're thinking, oh, he's obviously just talking about that dice game. This is not The Walking Dead coming back. This is just the dice game. But I don't think many people necessarily saw Ronnie's comment, and that was the bit that I wanted to kind of make people aware of. Is that actually this is something that Ronnie is considering talking to Skybound about. And the thing that will convince him is if people tell him they want it. So yeah, tell him they want it. Let him know. Fish is saying if loose lips sink ships, Ronnie would be at the bottom of the ocean. Yeah, Type 40 Tardis said if they revisit All Out War, I'd jump into it this time. Kodos, good evening, mate. How you doing? Ronnie's Davy Jones. Blair saying I'd love this to come back. Vijay saying I love co-op games. Gav saying make me want to dig out my Walking Dead minis out. Do you know what it is, mate? I keep going through these little phases, and I haven't painted my entire range, and every now and again I go back and I kind of like I paint the odd character here and there just to kind of renew my kind of love of it again. It's a fantastic game. It's something that I like. Me and my brother-in-law played quite a lot of it. It was the game I used to introduce him to gaming, and he loves it as well. And we both invested in getting like loads of like nice terrain and stuff like that. We used to play on some beautiful tables, and yeah, I miss it. I miss playing it. To me, Samir saying the concept and mechanics of the game was so unique and added such a wonderful layer of strategy and suspense. It's funny because at UK Games Expo, I was chatting to Ronnie, and I said, I know you can't produce the Walking Dead game anymore because of the license, but I would love to see you reuse the game mechanics in something else. And I'd love to, because the game is so good. Like, it's a shame that those rules aren't being used for something else. So who knew that at the time while we were chatting about that, there was that kind of glimmer in the background that this might actually come back. Kodos is saying if this comes back, it needs language packs. The local store did not want to stock it back then because they don't do games that is English only. I think the problem is, mate, is that it's a kind of a catch-22 thing, is that smaller companies sometimes can't afford to do multiple language packs because the amount of people buying it in that language doesn't necessarily justify it. So it's quite difficult to do language translations for stuff that's not like mass appeal, if you like. It's not big scale. But then I guess the catch-22 is if you don't do it in the new language, you never know, kind of thing, do you? Samir saying Michonne was the ultimate example of apocalyptic badassery. Yeah, exactly. And he's saying I love a Walking Dead games day, not necessarily tournament, just a campaign fun day. I would be absolutely up for that. I would definitely attend another one of those days. That like a kind of like just a story day kind of thing where it doesn't really matter whether you win or lose. You're just playing through a story through the day. Yeah. Dave says I remember going to a Walking Dead tournament at Mantic Games. I think everyone who went ended up with their own character card. Oh, that's pretty cool, mate. Clyde saying, so you're saying it could come back from the dead? It sounds like it could, mate. Blizzard is saying I'd absolutely love to see Walking Dead coming back to Mantic. Yeah, me too, mate. Sean Clark, hello, mate. How you doing? He said, totally agree. Great game that captures the feel of the comic really well. I'm missing models, so would love the chance to pick them up, plus any new ones. Yeah. Colin saying, never played it. More into Kings and Dead Zone. For zombies, I have Resi board games. It was more to do... I mean, the miniatures were good, mate. But it was more that the rules were really, really well written. It was just, I wouldn't say it was the most balanced from a competitive point of view, but then that wasn't really the point of the game kind of thing. That was where Call to Arms came in and trying to balance some of that stuff out a little bit. And I know Paul did a lot of stuff with his local events to try and kind of build in and stop any really sort of terrible... sort of overpowered, because there was like certain characters where you could load them up with certain weapons and you would get some quirky little kind of rules that would be like, oh, you can do that, can you? So some characters could become very much overpowered, so he built in some rules that would stop a lot of that kind of stuff happening into what you would call compacts. So the game maybe wasn't the most balanced in that terms, but that really wasn't the point of Walking Dead. It's a fantastic rule system. Annie's saying, yeah, I mean, how neat in the background there. Yeah, so let me just... all these ones. I've also got loads down here as well that you can't see as well. I've got all my TT Combat paints down there. In fact, if I take a little... Whoops, I'll just knock my microphone there. Let me just... if I take a little picture, I'll be able to show you those ones too. So that's... There you go. There's all the paints on the side of my desk too. So where this rack here ends at the end, those are the other paints over there as well. That's somebody that hasn't picked up a brush in such a long time. I need to sort that. Tom Watt saying I need so much more Walking Dead to complete. I just started collecting when they had to pull it. Yeah. And Type 40,000 saying I'd collect the Commonwealth Force in a hard minute. Yeah. Wayne saying bought most of the Walking Dead, would love to complete it and buy the new stuff. And Annie said, I didn't see Ronnie's post, and I'm in the group, so I've now posted there all in caps. If you do go and post in that group, to be fair, after seeing this, so it's in the Mantic Walking Dead Fanatics. So if you're a member of that group, or you go and join up because of this to go and post in there, tell them where you found out about it, because it helps me out as well. It's a little bit of promotion for me. Tell them where you found out. Cleo saying I'd play it. Haxan saying new Walking Dead game sounds good to me. Cleo says I like the idea of the AI zombie mechanic and cooperative player. The AI mechanic for the zombie was fantastic. So essentially what they would do was, if there was if you moved, basically if you walked, they wouldn't hear you. If you ran, then basically all of the zombies within a certain range would basically hear you and move. If you fired a gun, or you basically sort of fired a weapon that would make a noise, then basically that would alert more zombies from a wider area, and they would start to come towards you. There was things in the game where the terrain, you could set car alarms off and create a distraction to basically set the walkers sort of going in a different direction, and then you could run the other way. It was just such a clever thing. Chessie Kennedy saying I'd love Mantic to sell the STL files for the Walking Dead. I'm not sure if the Walking Dead minis were ever digitally sculpted. I'm trying to think back, because that would be one of the issues with that one. VJ says choosing not to stock games that are English only is cutting your nose off to spite your face. That's like saying I won't use the internet as most of it's English. I think I kind of get it, but unfortunately, as an English speaking person living in England, it's not something that I necessarily understand. I obviously don't understand how prevalent it is to have a local language type thing. I also don't know how expensive it is or how small those markets become. So yeah, I'm assuming that's what it'll be. Samir says the paints are so nicely organised, mine are just stuffed into a drawer. I'm quite an organised and quite a tidy-minded person. I like things in nice rows. I like things to be organised. Collinson, suppose it was a game that just didn't speak to me. Not every game does, mate. Not every game does. VJ saying not into the IP, so it's a pass for me, but glad everyone else is excited. And anything that puts money in Mantic's pocket is good with me. And Annie's saying pretty sure digital sculpt. Yeah, I'm trying to think back. I can't remember how far back Mantic's digital sculpt started. I wonder if it was around that time, because I know a lot of the old Kings of War stuff were all green stuff, all greens, and hand sculpted, if you like. But I can't remember when that tipping point was. Anyway, one thing I want to add is there anybody that thinks it's a negative? Is there anybody that thinks it's a bad idea? Does anybody think it's something that should just look, it's done, it's ran its course, everybody that wanted it's already bought it, there's not really any point in bringing it back? Is there anybody that feels that way? Because for me, it feels like a no-brainer, but then like I said before, I'm kind of biased about this kind of stuff. Jingbo saying, did anybody else picture Andy saying behold my stuff when he turned to gesture at his paints like that? Behold. I should add that all of these paints up here were sent to me for review, and all of these paints, the TT Combat ones, were sent to me for review as well. I'm not somebody that just sort of spends inordinate amounts of cash on paints and stuff like that, and I wouldn't suggest anybody else goes out there and does it either. It looks nice, and I'm starting to use more of them when I do paint. But yeah, for years I've been a Citadel painter basically. Right, I guess what we'll do now is it's time to dive in and do the second half of the here we go, the second half of the community challenge. So let me get back to my emails, and we've got Mr. Joachim Gustafsson, and Joachim's been painting some Shatterpoint. He said, hope you're well and that your foot heals as it should. It's pretty much healed, mate. Thank you very much for asking. He said, here's my slap chop test and take on the Summer Sci-Fi Challenge. Guess I don't need to introduce the characters. Yeah, I guess you don't, mate. Nice work, mate. As for slap chop being used as a kind of a bit of a Some people use it as a bit of an excuse, like, oh, they're just slap chopped, like, don't worry about them kind of thing. Anything that gets things painted is all right in my book. But you know, you've done a fab job on these, mate. Love what you've done. The highlights on the like on the little, I'd say a skirt or the thing, you know what I mean, is really nice. I love the bits of weathering on the bases as well. Some nice kind of shading as well to the armor. And I love what we've got here on Anakin's robes and stuff. Nice color choice as well with the lightsaber. Thank you very much, buddy. Next up, Mr. Scott Webster. And Scott, he said, for the summer challenge, I thought it would be show off this miniature I've been working on. It's an Ambot from Necromunda, which I'll be using for 5 parsecs from home and Space Station Zero. His scheme's inspired by the inspection transformers. I wonder if that's the is it the Decepticons? I'm not sure, mate. I decided to do a little diorama with one of my parsecs crew included. But yeah, this is looking really cool, mate. Love the purple colour choice. Really does work well with that kind of robot. And here, see the difference? See the difference when you put your miniature in a little kind of a world. All of a sudden, it just absolutely just kind of grounds it as well. I love they've got this little guy kind of hiding here. Like, he's got no idea what's coming down that corridor towards him. Love that, mate. Beautiful work. And a really nice picture as well there to sell it as well. Thank you very much. Next up, we got Mordecai, who I know was in the chat, or he was in the chat. He said he's painted a modern Space Marine in the retro style after seeing Broadsword Wargame do the same in a recent video. Having almost exclusively used slap chop method for several years, I learned and relearned a few things on this project. Just figuring out the right mix for the blue with limited paints I already had on hand has opened up a whole spectrum of possible colours for future projects. Looking forward to attempting some other retro chapter schemes when time permits. Looks awesome, mate. Love that blue choice. Very, very nice. Basin looks cool as well. Nice, tidy, clean paint scheme on this, mate. Awesome work. Thank you very much for taking part and for entering, mate. Dave Mackay is up next. And Dave said he completely forgot to send this month's challenge. But you didn't, mate, because I've got it. Said, bit of Judge Dredd this month. Don't worry if you can't squeeze it in. I can. My fault for forgetting to email earlier. That is absolutely fine, mate. Judge Dredd always manages to scrape in by the skin of his teeth, mate. And is that Judge Hershey? Am I right on that one? I never remember my Judge Dredd lore and stuff. But nice work on the basin as well, mate. Love that kind of like granite texture to it. Nice clean colour job. Nice clean paint job on it as well. Nice highlighting as well on that blue and on the greens and stuff. And yeah, good work around the helmet area as well. Looking awesome, buddy. Thank you very much for submitting that one. Next up, we got Mr. Stephen Hallowich. And Stephen, or Steve, has also been painting Judge Dredd. So yeah, and she says, decided to jump onto some Judge Dredd minis. He is a street judge, a cadet judge, and a ganger with a stump gun. With a stump gun, I should say. I think Judge Dredd gets a bit of love in this community, I must admit. Yeah, Clyde just saying there, so much lore tonight. Yeah, nice. I like this, mate. Is this a ganger? I'm assuming it is. Nice work on the jacket, mate. Really, really sets it off. Beautiful colour choice with the pink and the yellow. It really works well together. Yeah, and I'm assuming this is the cadet judge here, is it? Nice, mate. Lovely colour choices as well with it. I mean, I know it's the proper colour choices, but you've done some good jobs on picking them ones out. I love that jacket. Really, really nice work, mate. Again, thank you very much for taking part. Mr. Marcus Schneider has been painting up some Gundam. And he said, what's more sci-fi than giant robots? Quebbly Mark II from Mobile Suit Gundam and Gundam Barbatos Lupus from Iron-Blooded Orphans. I'm glad you told me that, mate. I would never have guessed this kind of stuff. But yeah, this looks cool, mate. Nice work on these. Very iconic pose, that, isn't it? It looks awesome. The red and the yellow and the blue always looks good with that white, doesn't it? Nice, mate. Really, really good stuff. Love that you kind of like the panel line and stuff where you've picked those out. Yeah, looking awesome, mate. And the other one, I must admit, I do like is I don't know if is it color shift paint or does it just look really sort of? Is it just really well done? It looks nice, mate. Beautiful colour choices as well. So a bit of freehand there as well. Looking really good. Nice stuff, mate. It's always nice to see something a little bit different as well. The Gundam stuff's always a little bit of a change as well, but looks awesome, buddy. Look at that. Got a bit of a General Grievous kind of feel about it there, isn't it? Looks amazing, mate. Thank you very much, mate. I love to see those. And next up, we have Mr. James Potter. Hello, James. And James is in his entry for the June Painting Challenge. Just zoom in a little bit there. It says Imperial Astromech Droid from the Imperial Specialist's Personnel expansion for Star Wars Legion. It's a mini that is significant for 3 reasons. It's my first attempt at dry brushing a mini. It's the last mini in that pack, meaning another box is done. And it's the 10th mini I've painted, meaning now that number of minis I've painted is now in double digits. Thank you so much for these painting challenges, and I look forward to the next one. Do you know what, mate? It's awesome seeing you taking part in these. To think that, like, you've gone from never having painted a mini before to this is the 10th one that you've done. And it's all because of these little challenges, just giving you a bit of a nudge to break out the paints. And you're seeing it's the first time you've dry brushed as well. Just getting you to try like little kind of tips and tricks and things like that, mate. Awesome work. Really nicely done. All the colours are in the right places. That's exactly what you want. Nice work on the base. I love that you've kind of gone for a little bit of kind of sort of bit of grass tufts and things there as well. It just looks awesome, mate. Well done, and keep up the good work. Keep entering the challenges. Gavin Samuel is up next, and Gavin said he had a few options for this challenge, but settled on the Aliens Ultimate Badasses set that's been sat in my pile of shame for a few months. I noticed a few bits that need touching up when taking the photos. Everyone does, mate. Everyone does. But hopefully my poor photography skills have hidden them. Looking forward to tonight's show. Thank you, Gav. There's nothing to worry about on these, mate. I love what you've done. I just really, really nice work on the kind of the camo style here. Really nice work on the skin tones with this guy at the back. Nice shading, nice highlighting. They just look really cool, mate. Look, I'm assuming that do these bases come with the game, do they? Because they're pretty cool, to be fair. I do really like them. But yeah, nice work, mate. Nothing to be ashamed of there, mate. I can't see any bits that you've missed. But yeah, lovely work on the camo stuff, mate. Nice work highlighting on the skin there as well. Yeah, nice like depth as well with the wash in the recesses as well. Awesome work, mate. Love those minis. Really well done. Paul Inman. And Mr. Inman has said, let's have a look here. I know he's been sort of super busy and stuff, but he's been a little bit ill, and being ill has meant that he's not had to travel with work, and he's managed to get some painting done. He says the 2 VTOLs on the landing pads were painted a couple of years ago, but the blue fighter plane was started earlier this year and might have been finished late May. However, the scenery that surrounds them is very much a product of June's efforts. I have the idea to make an airbase for games like Infinity and Firefight for some time, and then pieces had sat unpainted for ages in a tub in the attic. I had a real urge to start playing Infinity, and I like tables that tell stories of their own before miniatures even hit the table, so this is my ongoing project to do that. Nice one, mate. Awesome. I love seeing these, mate. So these are the minis in the terrain as well. You're seeing that basically the airbase at the moment consists of 2 raised landing pads connected via a walkway. In the future, there'll be 2 additional buildings, including a rocket launch system and control tower. He's been working on an STL file to print a fuel bowser for the fighter plane, and he's found some cool mobile weapons rack to sit under the wings as well. He says, coupled with a few more of the palm tree bases. He says the palm trees are a Wish special. They look pretty cool, mate, to be fair. He says they cost less than 20 quid for all of them. I can make a nice desert air base, or it can be placed on a 4x4 set of grey tires that look like a more traditional asphalt surface. It's an ongoing project, but I feel it's enough of the components now to complete that it's usable. Nice one, mate. I love seeing these. Definitely, you can see here as well, we've got some of the Mantic terrain stuff here as well, the Dead Zone stuff, which works really well for this style as well. It's nice seeing it in kind of that orange and white as well. We quite often see it kind of grey, dry brushed and stuff, but it's nice seeing it a bit brighter. In here we can see the kind of the overall thing together as well. It's really come together great, mate. It looks awesome. And there's the painted up sort of plane as well, with everything in the background. It does exactly what you wanted it to do, mate. It tells a story, and that is amazing. Well done, buddy, and thanks for submitting them, and I hope you're feeling better soon as well, mate. And last but not least, we've got Samir, who's also in the chat tonight. And Samir says in his email here as well, hobby time's been fleetingly scarce this month, but I was determined to get something finished and make some progress. They finished up another terrain piece for his Battletech collection to submit for the sci-fi challenge. So we use the terrain pieces for set dressing and to provide cover during the games. Mechs with jump jets can also land on top and get a better line of sight. Progress, no matter how small, is still progress. What a perfect way to end that email, mate. And you are our last challenge entry tonight as well. So it's a perfect way to end that as well. Progress, no matter how small, is still progress. But these are nice, mate. Love what you've done here. Nice bold colour choices. Love the kind of the glyphs down the side and stuff, and these little symbols. Works well with them. Just a little bit of weathering as well, just to make them feel a bit lived in. But yeah, looks awesome, dude. And nice to see all the little bits of terrain coming together. Amazing work, mate. Thank you very much. So yeah, thanks to one and all who've submitted their challenges this month. Don't forget next month's challenge. So the dates are going to change a little bit for next month's challenge. So obviously today is the first day of the challenge, which is the 3rd of July. And then I'm just checking the dates here. We're gonna give this month's challenge a little bit longer. So you're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4. You're gonna have 5 weeks for this one, and the closing date will be Sunday, the 6th of August. The reason it's a week later rather than closing on the 30th is because I'm on holiday. So I'm not going to be around to do the live stream on the 31st. So the live stream I'll be doing will be on the 7th. So yes, so 7th of August will be when we do the live stream, and the 6th of August will be the deadline. And don't forget, it is Fantastic Fantasy is the one for this month. So that's what we'll be doing. I want to see your fantasy minis. If you're not already signed up for my Kings of War Slow Grow Challenge, why not sign up for that and use that as motivation to paint your fantasy minis this month. Jez is saying, all great work, folks. Great variety too. Yeah, fantastic as well, mate. Samir saying, have a wonderful holiday, Andy. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'll be. I'm actually going away for 2 weeks with my wife and my little boy. This is our kind of our summer holiday. We're away for a couple of weeks, so I'll end up missing a couple of live streams. But I'll tell you when they are ahead of time. It's not for another few weeks yet. So we'll do that. But there should be videos pre-recorded to go up live while I'm away. So it won't be just kind of 2 weeks of nothing. There'll be some videos that have been pre-recorded. And so you'll still get to see my beautiful face. Clyde saying, just have Bad Squiddo do the live streams for you. Yeah, that's the way to do it. Annie can take over while I'm away. Wayne saying, well done all. Tasty Brain Drain saying, thanks everyone. Sorry, I missed what you all said. Luke says, are you going anywhere nice? I'm going on a cruise, mate. It's the first time my wife has been on a cruise. So we are sailing from Southampton. So I've got to drive all the way down to Southampton from Newcastle. And then we're going to be a couple of weeks at sea, mate, going around kind of south of Spain, kind of Portugal, Ibiza, around some bits of islands and things like that. So yeah, so we're away for a couple of weeks, mate. And he's saying bald cap on. I'll tell you what I'll do, Annie. I'll every time I shave my beard, I'll save a little bit for you, and I'll bag it up. And you can either use it as like sort of scatter for your diorama stuff, or you can stick it on for doing the live stream. Ed saying, night all, thank you very much, mate. Cleo saying, thanks for the stream, you're welcome. Alan says, I painted a Gargant's leg 2 years ago. If I finish him, does that count? It absolutely does, mate. It doesn't count when you started it. It counts when you finish it. VJ says, Annie in a bald cap doing Andy's accent. I'd pay to see that. To be fair. I don't know what your Geordie accent's like, Annie. We'll have to give it a try and see if I can coach you through it. That's the way to do it. Yeah, you have to have certain words that sound Geordie. If you can say pooper scooper, that's a good one. Kawasaki, that's a good one as well. There, Annie's saying my Geordie accent's perfect. Everybody can say YI, can't you? That's the way to do it. Oh, Annie's saying my mum's from Sunderland. I'm from Sunderland, Annie. There you go. Your mum's got taste in that case then. The bands, yeah. I didn't know your mum was a Macam. There you go. Just says monkey lasagna. Monkey lasagna. Yeah, and Super Pokemon said I would pay it if I did not die laughing. Aye, man. There you go, Annie. That's it. We're kindred spirits now with a little bit of Northeast heritage in us. There you go. You can definitely do the live stream now. So yeah, I'll just hand it over to you for a couple of weeks. So folks, we're kind of, he says, it sounded like my voice went there a little bit. Maybe I'm reaching puberty. Yeah, I was going to say we're coming up towards the end of the live stream now. I've still got about 15 minutes I was planning on doing. So if there's anything you want to chat about, anything you want to throw into the chat, we've got 69 folks still in the chat. I've got to do the old Bill and Ted 69, dude. I've got to do that now, haven't I? VJs is finally getting there, Andy. I know. One day, mate, I'll start to get hair on my face and stuff like that. Bacon. I had a bacon sandwich at the weekend, mate. I'll be honest. And it was awesome. I haven't had one for quite some time, and it was pretty special. So yeah, they definitely what is it? Absence makes the heart grow fonder. That works for bacon as well. I'll be honest. Clyde saying who's doing the slow grow? FOW. I think he means KOW, Kings of War, not Flames of War. Samir saying another wonderful stream. Thanks so much, Andy. Good luck with the fantasy challenge, everyone. Thank you very much, Samir, mate. Always nice to have your stuff included as well. John says, my Galactus arrived for Marvel Zombies last week. Gee, it's big and heavy. Wow, 2 foot tall, and the base is 17 inches wide, 8 kilos. I tell you what, it's not a bad thing, is it? Vijay saying, how's the health kick going, Muggins? So the health kick is kind of, it's going and it's not. So in terms of eating healthy, I've been sticking to healthy eating. I'm drinking more water. I haven't been snacking on stuff. I haven't been eating like sort of crap during the day. I'm making sure I'm getting plenty of protein and plenty of veg and fresh fruit and all that kind of stuff. So health-wise, in terms of eating, I'm absolutely kind of been sticking on the straight and narrow. I went to a wedding do on Saturday night and I had a few drinks, but other than that, I've not been drinking at home. I've not had any other than when I was away for the weekend and the wedding, I've hardly had any alcohol. So I've been kind of doing well that side of things. The hurting my foot kind of put the gym thing like to bed a little bit. So I've not been back to the gym since I hurt my foot. So the Wednesday before UK Games Expo was the last time I went to the gym. So that's kind of fell by the wayside a little bit because of that. I'd paid up until this week. Was my 10-week course, but then obviously for the last few weeks I've not been able to get there. So yeah, I'm going away on holiday in a couple of weeks. I've got an operation when I come back as well, so I'm going to be off my feet for a couple of weeks, because of the operation. So I'm just kind of trying to move as much as I can now. My foot's feeling better. I'm trying to eat healthy, and I'm kind of focusing on what happens more towards the end of August when I'll be kind of back on my feet and up and about. So let's have a little look here. But Squiddo says it's been really fun being pottering and watering my plants during the second half. Always nice to have you, Annie. I know we briefly said about this the other day as well, but we need to get you back on another live stream as well. It's always nice to have somebody to chat to. And you know more than I do when it comes to industry inside, industry insiders and insider knowledge. So yeah, let's definitely do that. And I also need to get in touch with Ian at Fenris as well. I did tell him at UK Games Expo we should do a live stream together, and I'm still keen to do that as well. Maybe the three of us could do one together if that's a possibility. VJ saying, anyone see the Dice Men book? People are now doing a fighting fantasy history book now. Oh, that's pretty good, mate. Clyde saying, ginger snaps are health food, right? They can be. Gav says, going to have to tap out. Been a good show, but eyes are struggling to see open. Take care, Gav. Thank you very much for joining the stream. Thanks for taking part in the painting challenge as well. Samir saying, do fruit-shaped donuts count for healthy eating? For fruit jam-filled donuts. Deep Red says, I'm already looking forward to seeing what people submit for the fantasy challenge. Yeah, I'm going to try and get something done myself as well. I know I'm away for most of the time that the challenge is taking part, but I'm sure I'll be able to get at least one little fantasy thing painted. Vijay saying that I'm sure you'll get back on the horse when you can. Yeah, it's just it's frustrating, mate. Like I'm still losing weight. I've lost quite a bit of weight, and like that's a positive kind of thing. But I was in the zone kind of thing. I was getting in the right mental state, and hurting my foot kind of just took the wind out a little bit. And now I know I've basically got I've got this chunk of time when I'm not really going to be able to exercise anywhere. My brain's kind of saying, right, when you're back up on your feet, kind of thing, like in end of August, we'll start again, kind of thing. That's kind of where I am, I think. Jess is saying, I've been basing up these creepy Midland beekeepers. Undercoat them later, then might get painting started in this Veritwood stuff. Nice. Got a bad squid or Wendigo amongst it too. Nice. Some of you saying, don't forget to toss a like in before you head out, folks. Yeah, I'm sure we can get some more likes in. Can we get another 5 or 6 likes in? Just because I don't know why I said 5 or 6. It just felt like a nice number. Also, if anybody hasn't joined the Kings of War slow grow campaign, I would love to hit 100 people on the slow grow campaign. Let's have a look and see how many we're at, and see how many folks we've got in the slow grow. So I've got where's the number? Where does it tell you the number? We've got 86 members in the slow grow at the minute. So I'll tell you what, let's share the link to it. There's the link to it. Somebody is asking where do we enjoy it. So it's on Facebook, mate. There we go. Blizzard is saying I clicked like 5 more times. I don't think it worked though. Well, we're up to 73 likes, so that can't be bad, can it? Let's have a little look. John says, I'm originally not far from Sunderland, Houghton Spring. Houghton's just down the road, mate. That's not too far away at all. Jess is saying, I'm more Anion and Fenris Ace. Vijay saying, well, if former live stream guests are returning. And he says, I'd be up for it. I should let Ian get a word in edgeways. Boot me after and I'll introduce you. Yeah, we had a chat at Expo, but to be fair, it's the only time we've ever really kind of chatted and stuff like that. But yeah, he's just he seems like a cool guy. Somebody else who does what they love, loads of passion for it, and kind of sort of shall we say, how do you say it? Like sort of swims against the tide a little bit in terms of trying to sort of get his work out there as well, and getting people to hear about it, and because it's not mainstream as such. Luke says, I hate it when I can't get to the gym, gets me down. I wasn't quite at the stage where I was kind of enjoying the gym. I was enjoying the fact that I was feeling better. I think when I was actually doing the workouts, it was like it felt like a slog and it felt like hard work. But I was feeling like I was feeling better. Like I felt like I'd accomplished something by doing the work. But then hurting my foot was just a case of but it wasn't. First of all, I couldn't walk on it, and then when it started to get a little bit better, I still couldn't drive either because I had that stupid big boot on, and it's only now I'm starting to kind of get out and about again now. So, VG saying, yeah, Eaton's at least 80% of the battle. If you can keep that up, it should hold you over. Yeah, that's kind of it, mate. I'm not moving as much as I should be because obviously I haven't been on my feet very much. But I'm feeling like I've kind of had to start to at least go for like longer walks and stuff now without feeling too tired or without feeling too sore. So I'm hoping to try and kind of do that over the next few weeks before I go away and just keep on the straight and now with my food. I've lost a good chunk of weight, more than I expected to. And it's still going down. So yeah, all's good, mate. All's good at the minute. Super Pumpkin Man said, I know I'm going to paint something from my AOS Deepkin Warcry Warband collection, but which one? I look forward to seeing which one it is, mate. Yeah, Yeah, Jess says, can't do the Facebook anymore. I enjoy arguing with people who are wrong. Yeah, it's just the slow grows are easy to organise on Facebook. That's the thing. I appreciate not everybody's on there, but it's easier to organise. It's a place where I can post pictures. People can ask questions. People can post pictures of the stuff that they're working on. I can post the discount codes for Mantic and stuff like that as well. So yeah, it's just an easy place to keep things in one place. Blair saying good night as well. Got an early start tomorrow and hopefully get something painted and get the slow grow started. Nice one, fella. Yeah, and he says Ace has lots of good stories. Yeah, I look forward to having a good catch up with him. Samir says workouts are always hard when you get started. Keep at it. You get a natural high off it after a while. As soon as you'll be craving the workouts. Yeah, it kind of. I'd not done anything for such a long time that my fitness was really, really low. I mean, it's fine to kind of sit here like looking like I've got a little bit of a tan off being away and stuff like that, and you know, like I'm eating quite healthy, so I look like I've lost a bit of weight. But like fitness wise, my fitness is pretty low, and it took me a long time. Sort of having the little one. Like I used to exercise a lot with my wife, and then when the little one came along, we couldn't exercise together. I didn't really have the motivation to do it. I wasn't mentally, I probably wasn't in the right place. I wasn't enjoying my job. I hated what I was doing. I was frustrated. At the point when I managed to get out of my old job and start doing this full time, COVID hit. So there was a couple of years of not really kind of getting out and about and stuff. And it was just a combination of things, a little bit of ill health that came along at a funny time. It was just a combination of a number of things, and I felt like I was starting from scratch again. Plus the fact that I'm not getting any younger, so it was nice to start kind of getting into it. And then obviously the hurting my foot for no apparent reason just kind of took the wheels off a little bit. But yeah, I'll get back to it. Jess says, I love hearing from folks in the gaming industry. Me too, mate. I'm as fascinated with the business side of things and the industry side of things as I am with the miniatures sometimes. Yeah, Haksan saying pre-COVID was doing a lot of yoga, but still haven't managed to get back into it. Yeah, Fishy's saying yoga, it's good, yeah. John saying, I think I need to wear one of those boots. I've got some nasty pain in my left foot. Do you know what? I'm trying to. I think there is a left and a right to those boots. I was just trying to work out is there a left and a right, but yeah, there definitely is. Mine was my right foot, mate. Deep Red says, I've got some acrylic dark L's I got paint up. Been gathering dust for months. Do it, mate. Do it. And Samir saying, keep at it. Life always resists our fitness levels, amongst other things. I think it definitely does. As you get a bit older, mate, you definitely feel it. Tony, hello, mate. How are you doing? Tony Booth-Leiden. He said he went a bit crazy and signed up for Clash of Kings. Better relearn the game and try to get good at it. Well, I tell you what, mate. My plan is to be at Clash of Kings this year. All things being equal and recovered from my operation and stuff okay. My plan is to come down and do some filming and interview people and get some nice shots of all the really nicely painted armies and stuff. So I'm sure I probably owe you a cuppa, mate, or owe you a beer by now. So yeah, it'd be nice to catch up again. Jess is saying exercise is good and that, but I really enjoy a nice sit down. Yeah, me as well, mate, I'll be honest. There's nothing like sort of like a nice cup of tea and just putting your feet up in there. Maybe dipping a biscuit in it. VG says, got to split, got to put the power lead out for the tradies. Nice one, mate. They're putting a new retaining wall in our yard. Later's all that sounds all very interesting, mate. Right, I think that is as good a time as any to call it a night. Thank you so much, folks, for coming in tonight. Been nice to share all of the community painting stuff. It's been nice to chat Walking Dead as well. I think it's fair to say that most folks were pretty positive about it, and there didn't really seem to be anybody that thought it was a bad idea. As I said before, I'm all for it, but then I'm a bit biased, so it's always good to hear what other people think. If you've got any ideas of things that we can chat about, topics for Monday night live streams, I'm always open to other new ideas. I'm not the font of knowledge when it comes to everything. It's always nice to have some new ideas and things. So if you would like to pop back to this video after the video is kind of finished and it's just up for everybody to watch on YouTube, comment on the video, let me know what you think of the stream. Let me know if you've got any ideas of topics you'd like to talk about in future live streams. And we'll call it there. So yeah, thanks very much to everyone that's been in. Thanks to my Patreons who continue to support me. I could not do this without you. I appreciate the financial help as well as the moral support. Thanks to everyone who donates on the live streams, and thanks to everybody who subscribes and likes the videos and leaves comments as well. You're all helping, and it all really does help. So thanks very much, folks. Take care, and I will see you next week.